golf lover, join in on fun discussions about golf. From the perspective of two plugged-in Minnesota golf geeks, Brad Cole and David Branstad. This is 10,000 Swings.
Hello and welcome back to 10,000 Swings. It is Sunday, July 11th, 2021. I'm Brad Cole.
I'm David Branstad.
10,000 Swings is brought to you by Jarrett Yehlen with Northwestern Mutual. For whatever financial questions you have, call Jarrett with Northwestern Mutual today at 612-209-4523 or check out his website at jarrettyehlen.com. He can do retirement planning, life insurance, build tree houses, you name it. Give Jarrett a call today. We've got a great show this week that might include the John Deere Classic, the Scottish Open, and a preview of the Open Championship, and much more. But first, our guest this week is none other than Jarrett Yalen himself. Jarrett, how we doing, bud?
Gentlemen, what's going on? How are you?
We are fantastic. We're so glad to have you, bud.
I'm learning how to use technology. It's one step at a time. As I get older, I'm already at that point where I feel like the older I get, the worse I get with technology. By the time I turn 40, I'll probably have to have someone operate my phone for me. But
okay, so Brad, let's be fair about this for a second here, right? I'll admit it. I'm 41. Jarrett?
41.
Brad?
37.8.
Okay, you're supposed to be our tech guy.
Yeah. Well, if I'm your tech guy, I would suggest shutting down the operation because that's where things are at. But you know what? We're moving forward. We've got the John Deere Classic that just wrapped up, and Jarrett is a big John Deere Classic fan. So let's talk a little bit about what happened this week at TPC Deere Run. Jarrett, you want to lead the way? A little Lucas Glover talk.
Did you guys see the rain over the weekend? Did you see all this? I mean, it was like maybe British Open weather. I mean, like they're getting close to it.
Didn't they have like scoreboards falling down, like TV towers falling down? I just saw a glimpse of it today, but like that was horrific.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Jarrett, I'm going to need to interrupt you there for a second. I heard you say the word rain, and I just got kind of giddy. Could you tell me where this rain was? Because according to every golf course I've been on and every neighborhood I've seen, I think we could use some of that in Minneapolis.
Oh my goodness gracious! The only spot that's like still green is actually kind of around the treehouse that we're building right now. Listen, I never thought that I was going to build a $3,000 treehouse, but the price of lumber is skyrocketing. Next thing I know, I promised my 3 kids that we're going to do a treehouse, and so all of a sudden, like I feel this like pit in my stomach every time I have to go to Home Depot. Like, fortunately, we're almost done. I got to get a slide built. I didn't like build the treehouse. Like, I'm more of a this looks kind of good, like let's figure this out as we go. My dad's the engineer, so he wants to make sure everything is perfect. So he came and helped me set the footings and everything and build the frame. And next thing we know, I'm like, well, now the treehouse is like 7.8 feet off the ground, and so there's no slide that like fits from the treehouse to the ground. Plus, because it's on a slope, so now I got to build my own slide. I'm like hemorrhaging money here on a treehouse. I never thought it would come to that, but I'm chasing a sprinkler around the yard every single like 45 minutes. It feels like, but nothing compared to the sort of rain that TPC Deere Run got. Listen, I think the John Deere is an awesome tournament, and here's why. It's one of the older tournaments on tour. I mean, they celebrated their 50th anniversary this year. Some of the older tournaments on tour like are more the ones down south, right? Like the AT&T Byron Nelson, or what used to be formerly known as the Phoenix Open. Like, a lot of those things have been around for 60, 70, 80 years. But 50 years is a pretty good run on the PGA Tour, especially when guys can outgrow a course. It moved to TPC Deere Run in 2000. And progressively it has not gotten much of a, headliner type field. But you do ever get every now and then some guys that jump up and get a big win that kind of jump starts their career. I mean, Spieth has won there twice. Dylan Fratelli didn't make the cut this weekend. I was a little disappointed. He wasn't my guy, but I waffled between him and Richie Wabranski, and he didn't make the cut either. So what do I know? It used to be the Steve Stricker Open. He's won it 3 times. It's the Zach Johnson Invitational because he's the good Iowa guy. Like, he's the guy you always want to select in your fantasy league. But I thought it was a good tournament. I think there were a couple of things. And by the way, how ironic was it that it's like pouring rain and Sebastian Munoz is leaking oil and he's the Flex Seal sponsorship guy? How funny is that? I love it.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, so we end up with some names that haven't been around much recently on the leaderboard. Lucas Glover with the win, and Ryan Moore, second place. We haven't heard from Ryan Moore in quite some time, and he's been through some injury stuff. Actually, a friend of mine, Brett Swedberg, is now on Ryan Moore's bag, or has been for about 2.5 years. And so I know it's been a tough go for them, but obviously this is a huge week. You get a second place in an event like that. T2 probably in that $500,000 to $700,000 range. So you do 10% of that for the caddy, and Brett's able to pay for a couple Chick-fil-A sandwiches this week. So we're good. We're in a good direction.
So you know what? It'd be a great thing if he could spread that money apart to pay for odd even sprinkler fines that we're all about to get for the last couple of months.
No doubt. Yeah, depending on what city you live in right now, you could definitely get a fine for sprinkling on the wrong day. So don't get caught going down that path. Just make sure, hey, start that puppy at 4 o'clock. Make sure it's done running by 7 a.m. and no one's going to know the difference. Have a nice day.
Yeah, the problem is I have internet companies ripping up my yard. I have to redo it twice in a day. Again, not going to repeat from last week, but I'm not going to rip on the company that does it. But let's get some internet going here. We're back on.
Sounds like a good situation there. Maybe you need your own John Deere tractor to move some land around here.
Right?
Jarrett, do you know anything about why John Deere has this event or what it means to them, or in any of your research? I know you've researched the event a bit. Do we know anything about the John Deere involvement or what they do? Because some of these different tour events, you'll see on Sunday the CEO comes on and says, hey, we do this and this and this for the community, or this is what we do. Does every participant in the John Deere Classic get their own mower to take home with them, or how do you check that on the next plane, or how do you take it to the next town? Or I'm just curious because it's kind of cool. There's different things that different companies do. If you're at the 3M Open, you usually, I know a lot of fans love to show up early in the morning and get their free bag, their free swag bag, and see how many, Post-it notes they can grab. So I'm just curious to see, Jarrett, did you find anything on the John Deere Classic? Is there a fun little, did they get a mini mower to take home for their kids, or any cool, exciting things? I haven't been to the John Deere Classic, and I know you're pretty excited about the event. Anything in your findings that was kind of unique? I
think, I want to be really honest here. I think the reason I love it is twofold. Number one, it's all, for the longest time, it's been the closest running golf tournament in the upper Midwest. Once the Western Open left Chicago, the 3M Open is obviously now PGA Tour Pros, but before it was just the Champions Tour. It was the closest thing to a regular tour stop up here. So I think that's where some of my affinity comes from for it. The other comes from, when I went to school at University of Missouri. So, kind of right smack in the country. And we had this John Deere Gator that we drove around all the time when I was working in the athletic department. And we would take that thing out, 11, 12 o'clock at night after an event and whip around campus on it and try to throw each other off of it. And so I've got a little bit of an affinity for it, but John Deere's headquarters is in Grand Detour, Illinois, which is only, as the crow flies, probably 35 minutes from the Quad Cities. So that's how their involvement came to be. But look at the people that are coming to this thing, right? It's a bunch of people from Iowa, from Illinois. If you look at all the regional folks, there's a lot of tractors going around, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And if you listen to the CEO, he gets on there and he starts talking about community. And I think that's the thing that I love about it the most, is that I would guess 75 to 80+% of the people that are patrons at the John Deere live inside of a 50-mile radius of the tournament, right? So I think the word community, every time I hear the John Deere Classic. Every time the CEO gets on, he talks about the community and giving back to the community. So I think it's just a really, really awesome tournament. And you know what? It's a great course too. 3 finishing holes, par 3, par 5, par 4. And the par 5, like coming up, kind of shares a little bit of a fairway. So you can see the guys going off as you're approaching 17. So I think it adds a little bit of extra pressure into the mix. I think it's a fantastic tournament. I really, really do. And in 2008, to actually, to get a few more commits to the tournament, they decided that they were going to get a charter plane. And this charter plane leaves from Davenport every single year and goes all the way across the pond direct. They don't have to stop anywhere. Guys aren't losing their clubs anywhere. So I think that's part of the deal. I think it's a good tournament, and they want to make sure that they're giving back to the players as well. And so, hey, hitch a free ride on this charter all the way over to across the pond. So I think it's a great tournament.
So, serious question, but I'm definitely going to derail here. What do you guys think personally is your favorite sponsor for a PGA Tour event? Like what sponsor do you always like, oh man, I love that they sponsor a tour event? Do you immediately see John Deere on the schedule and think of riding a big tractor and mowing your lawn? Do you get geeked out when you see that the Memorial is brought to you by Nationwide? Or do you go and buy a new AT&T flip phone when you see that they, the host of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am? What is the tour sponsor that kind of makes you say, man, I love that? Or, Brandy, are you a big, hey, you know what? I go and buy 3M Scotch tape because they sponsor the 3M Open. What are your guys' like favorite ones on tour? Like, does anyone know anything about Sanderson Farms? Or or do you automatically go to Safeway when you go to the West Coast because of the Safeway Open? I'd love to know, like, do these businesses get their money back? What do you guys think?
Well, so let me take this one first then. So my father-in-law is a longtime 3M employee. So I have, besides working at the TPC Twin Cities and the 3M Open, I've got a lot of faith and value in 3M. However, there was a clip this weekend of John Deere. Did you happen to see the machinery they had done on the side of, I don't know where it was, but they had like giant machinery doing putting. They had giant machinery doing chipping and driving, and I thought that was super cool. And I'll tell you what, I kind of like the John Deere thing. Is there another one that right offhand excites me? I'd have to think for a minute.
Yeah, the Zurich doesn't really get me going on anything, I mean, I still call this Century Tournament of Champions, like I still call it the Hyundai, and it's not because I have any sort of affinity towards Hyundai. I think it's the John Deere for me, to be perfectly honest. Just obscure kind of sponsorships that are still out there and will most likely still remain a part of the community for a really, really long time. I can't see John Deere leaving that place anytime soon.
It's like I said, it's kind of a fascinating question, right? Like when you saw this winter, the WGC that was supposed to be in Mexico City, I believe, and then moved to the Concession Club in Bradenton, Florida. It was sponsored by Workday, right? And I still, 4 to 5 months later, I still don't know what Workday does. So it's like the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. Okay, I got it. Credit card company, okay, I understand. The Honda Classic. Yep, I understand what Honda's products are, but I'm still not sure. Like Workday, I don't know what they do. Like RBC, okay, I've got that one figured out. The Valspar, okay, all over the paint. I get it. Wells Fargo, yep, I understand you're in banking, but there's just some that I still don't fully get. And again, I've never looked up Sanderson Farms, and maybe someday I should, but I just like saying Sanderson Farms and just not really knowing what it means.
Well, listen, I'm not about to like hop in my car and fly out to Walgreens and pick up a can of Barbasol to shave with, right? Like it's just not going to happen. Like I'm pretty committed to the gel that I use, so it's not going to change my opinion on it. Plus, I'm watching the British anyway.
Okay, so but which gel is that then? What do you say? Yeah, which gel is that?
I use Nivea. It's like for sensitive skin. Like I don't want
Okay.
any sort of ingrown hairs on my neck when I'm wearing like a shirt and tie and collar. Like it just rubs up against your neck all the time. So I've got sensitive skin. It is what it is.
So this has gone a lot of different directions. So I'd like to get us back on track here. So Jarrett, you talked a bit about the finish at John Deere, and again, it's a little bit different location, not in a major city. Quad cities, but not in a major city. The field, not necessarily the best. The timing of the event isn't fantastic, but the golf course is pretty. It's a really solid golf course, and TPCs as a whole, I don't know that I've played a TPC that I dislike. Now I know some people don't like that. TPCs are associated with neighborhoods, houses, etc. But I guess I don't have like that fancy of an eye where I need to say like, oh, there can't be golf or houses near where I play golf. That doesn't bother me. I just hope I don't hit them. But it's not a real, I don't have any rules about that. I think TPC does a very nice job of you have an expectation of what those courses are going to look like, right? Like it's a brand name and you know that you're going to get a quality product when you play them. What are your thoughts, Jarrett, on TPC courses and David as well? Like what do you guys think when you hear about TPC, and what do you think as a whole, like what is their best one? I go back and forth between Sawgrass and Scottsdale. I know not everyone loves Scottsdale. I think Scottsdale is just one of the coolest courses on tour, specifically a few holes, but Sawgrass is pretty awesome too.
Well, they built them specifically for tournament golf, right? And so they could bring in stadium seating, right? I don't think when they set out to build the courses, they envisioned skyboxes and all this stuff around it, but they envisioned room for spectators and tournament golf and to host it. By the way, there are 10 TPC courses on the schedule this year. We've already been through 8 of them. Can you name the 8 that we've been through?
So the one we just played, right?
TPC Deere Run. Got it. Check.
We're going to go with TPC Sawgrass.
Check. Players.
TPC Scottsdale. Waste Management. Oh, there's another great sponsor, by the way. Waste Management Phoenix Open.
Oh, totally. Everybody's hammered on the 16th tee, right? Like it just fits so well.
Yeah, I mean, and my 2-year-old that's like one of the few tour events that he knows the sponsor is the yellow top. So he's all in. Those 3, man, more TPC courses. I am blanking. Brandy?
All right.
Oh, do not put me on the spot on this one.
Okay. Jarrett, go ahead.
All
Finish
right,
it
here
up.
we go. So Shriners was at TPC Summerlin in Vegas. The Waste Management at TPC Scottsdale in Phoenix. The Players at TPC Sawgrass. The Valero at TPC San Antonio. The Zurich TPC Louisiana, which, by the way, I've heard is an incredibly hard course. AT&T Byron Nelson at TPC Craig Ranch. That's a new one this year. The Travelers at TPC River Highlands. John Deere TPC Deere Run, and then obviously the 3M Open here in the Twin Cities. And next up on the schedule after the 3M Open, TPC Southwind hosting the WGC event, the FedEx St. Jude. So 10 on the schedule this year. There are 32 TPC courses in total, and Golf Digest ranked them for you, Brad, just to take any sort of guesswork out. Sawgrass is number 1. The Greenbrier Old White is number 2. Boston number 3. San Antonio 4. Southwind 5. Craig Ranch 6. Deer Run 7. Sawgrass Dyes Valley 8. Harding Park number 9, followed by Scottsdale number 10.
Brad, we've officially been out-researched by our guest. I think it's time to just clock out.
In the words of Wayne's World, we're not worthy.
You're not worthy.
That's some good stuff there, Yales. I'm impressed. You continue to outdo yourself. So TPC courses, lots of fun, different tracks. Again, some people don't like them, some people love them. I personally think that they do a really nice job, and I think the TPC just really stands. It's a stamp, right? This is a level of golf course that you're expecting, and you are not going to bat an eye at $100, $150, $400, depending on which one you're at, green fee, because you know what quality product you're getting. Especially with 10 tour events, that's impressive. And then I'm sure in some years, depending on, if there's a major at Harding Park or something like, there's more than 10, but very, very impressive that 10 of the 32 are being played this year. And I think they do a nice job.
All right, so guys, here's the deal. I am not going to comment on this, but I'm going to throw it out there. You guys can look up this tweet on your own. One of my favorite followers on Twitter, and this isn't our tweet of the week, but check out Kip Henley on his October 31st, 2020 tweet. He has a nice comparison to TPC Courses to something. If you guys want to go look it up, it's pretty good. I'm not going to share it on.
Nice. Kip Henley,
on the
blue
podcast,
check mark.
Though.
He's
blue check mark.
Blue check mark. Kip Henley. No, he's.
Do you
good
remember this one, Brad?
I don't, and I think since we're not going to talk about it, we'll probably just keep moving.
Yeah, let's just keep moving past this. But
we'll check that one out. So
it's pretty good.
We also had this week the Scottish Open, and no disrespect to the John Deere Classic, but this Scottish Open is starting to get a really, really strong field almost every year, it seems like. And I think guys are just saying, hey, if I'm going over to play, I'm all in, right? I'm just going to do 2 weeks or so, and I'm really going to give this everything I've got. Did you guys get to watch any of the golf this week at the Renaissance Club?
I watched a little bit of it, and didn't guys used to go over there like Phil and Ricky went over there to play in the Irish Open? That was before the British. So they've changed the dates on this thing, and maybe the dates have changed for the Olympics. I don't know. I'm sure they'll address that here next week during the broadcast. But Scottish Open, Irish Open, I think they've flipped weekends, right?
I think what you did there is you said gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a yeah? So we had this event, and I tell you what, two highlights of the event for me. I'll get into the winner, etc. But Rory McIlroy playing on Friday with John Rahm is on the 10th tee box, and they're just standing there talking. And all of a sudden, a gentleman decides to just walk up on the tee box, go into Rory's bag, pulls the Rory head cover. The driver doesn't come. Grabs another club and just decides to start swinging it. Have you guys ever seen this on tour where security was so relaxed that someone could just go grab a tour player's club when they're standing on the tee box and just go swing it? That was crazy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So here's why I have so many issues / I love this. So first of all, where's your caddy at? Is it your caddy's the protectant of the clubs, right? Security, yeah, where's security at? The guy comes out, tries to grab driver, only gets the head cover, but then grabs the iron. Brad, we've been talking about wrestling on tour for what, a month now?
Whenever Phil Mackey's involved, yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. When Phil Mackey's on, we're always talking about it. This is the perfect opportunity. If I'm Rory's caddy, I am going to go pile drive him.
Yeah, but they just stood there. They just stood there. I couldn't believe it. Rory, Harry was on one side. Rahm was on the other side. They're literally once he pulled the head cover and he missed the driver, and then he just stood there and started kind of rifling through the bag. The three of them are just standing there with the most confused, unreal look on their face. Is this really happening?
And then when he got escorted off, it was hello, sir. You were not supposed to be doing that.
Well, John Rahm's caddy jumped in, right? And he's like, security, we need you over here immediately. Because, Rory and Harry are sitting there with their hands in their pockets. What is this guy doing?
I truly felt like Billy Madison when he was talking about the little puppy who lost his way. And you've got a dog. You've got a responsibility. You go out there and you find your dog. And I'm thinking to the caddy, Harry, you got one job, bro, is to keep the clubs safe.
Right?
What are you doing? I would have loved to see him just go Goldberg or Brian Urlacher and just hit him right in the numbers and take him to the ground. It was so weird to me. I mean, the actions were weird, but the reactions were almost more weird to me. And
the reactions were hands down more weird because this was the perfect opportunity for someone just to drop someone to the ground.
Well, and they're in the European tour too, right? So there's the standards behind the tee box, with all the sponsorships and everything. How wonderful would it have been if it's Rahm's caddy or Harry or somebody just absolute Terry Tate linebacker, this guy, all the way through one of those sponsorship boards. But what's even more unreal is that he just kind of stood there in the corner, right? Like he could have broken the driver. He could have done something like absolutely crazy. The golf gods are absolutely never going to let that guy break 80 for the remainder of his life.
80.
Well, and speaking of people that didn't play great, Rory missed the cut. So super awkward. I don't know. And then do you go through like the hand sanitation process at that point, like, or the grips, like do you go get some sanitizer or like wash the grips before, like you get some random dude out touching your grips? Like we're still technically in a pandemic. Like it was very, very weird. All of it was weird, but almost more weird, Justin Thomas, who I believe ended up backdooring a top 10 in this tournament on Saturday, getting ready to hit a 3-wood and just cold tops it. And it was all over Twitter and people were destroying him and he handled it really, really well. But I mean, he is at that point where he's, you wait for the group to clear in front of you. You're all ready to go. You're taking a bunch of time and then you just cold top one. And I personally have done it because, for me, not only is it waiting for the group to clear, then it's the 15 waggles and then I cold top it and then you're really embarrassed. So Justin Thomas, I mean, that one to me was shocking to see that, but he did come back and he did finish at 15 under for a T8.
When he did let go of the club, though, did you see it in slow motion? It was still on plane.
There was, I can't remember who it was. Someone on Twitter was saying, "I'm still waiting for the club head to hit JT in the head." I got to find who this was, but they're like, "Yeah, he cold tops it. It goes where it is." And he's like, "I'm still waiting for this to hit me in the head."
Oh, it looked like it was going to. You're spot on. So there's some weird stuff over at the Scottish Open this week. And I tell you what, a guy that needs to be on everyone's radar going into next week, Ian Poulter. This guy is playing some golf right now. And he ended up finishing in fourth. Fitzpatrick and Detry lost in the playoff to, was it Minwoo Lee?
Minwoo Lee.
Yeah, so they all finished at 18 under, so 3-way playoff, and Minwoo Lee wins the first hole of the playoff. So congratulations to Min. That's a great, I mean, I don't know a lot about Min, but obviously I would assume that gets Min into the event next week and with the Open Championship and riding a bit of the hot hand there. But there's a lot of guys that are about to peak, and I think you got to look at Ian Poulter next week as a great candidate to do something in the British. And when's the last time Poulter won a major? Has Poulter won a major? Good
Poulter
question,
has
right?
not won a major. He has not won a major.
I mean, you look at Poulter played well this week. Other guys that were right up there that played well that definitely could be in play. Richard Bland again shows up. Tyrrell Hatton, Robert McIntyre, Patty Harrington with a top 20 this week. We're gonna have some pretty exciting golf. Fitzpatrick seems like he's just ready to win one, right?
He's playing so well. He's 37-1 this week at the British. He's playing so well. He's had so many close calls and so many top tens here in 2021. But his in 2021, Masters T34, PGA Championship T23, U.S. Open T55. So it's like breaking through in the big tournaments just feels impossible for him. But I kind of like him here at Royal St. George's. I mean, I'm going to be hard pressed not to take a flyer on him at 37-1.
I like it. I like the calculation of the odds by the financial expert is some good stuff. The guy that didn't know what he was getting into when he agreed to build the treehouse. But hey, lumber costs are hurting everyone everywhere. And, if you're looking to go make a calculated update to your golf bag, we want to remind our listeners that our show is brought to you by PXG, Parsons Extreme Golf. They have a beautiful new store in Southdale. You need to go check it out today. And if the Gen 4 clubs are not quite the pricing you want to be at, they have Gen 3 clubs still available, Gen 2 and Gen 1. So they've got something for everyone. And that has been some of the criticism with PXG over the years, that the price point was too high. And they offer that wonderful, beautiful, premium, top-of-the-line product. But they also have great products that are, a year or two old, available at lower price points as well. So PXG, go check out the store today. Jarrett, tell us a bit about your PXG experience over the years and your feeling about the product.
Dayton, Kansas, Ty Mune, Pelly, all awesome dude. Derek, they're all awesome dudes over there. And I think that's the one thing that you experience when you walk in is you're getting an experience. Like, you're not just walking into Golf Galaxy and some guy, who, maybe this is his second job, maybe it's a retirement gig, whatever it is, I don't know, but you're getting like the true custom fit experience over at PXG. They make you feel special, and it's awesome. And they've got awesome products. I love all of my clubs. I love my irons. I would go there. It's awesome.
Beautiful. No, it's great. And you mentioned the guys. Don't forget our sales leader, Jesse Acharya, one of the best players in the state of Minnesota.
Yes, thank you.
They've got a full team over there. They're adding more people all the time because they are so busy and they are having a hard time keeping up. So enjoy everything that they have going over there. Before we start previewing the Open Championship, Jarrett sent me a note that he would love to talk about golf collectibles. And this has been on my mind all week because golf collectibles can go 85 different ways. There's so many things you can either collect or not want to collect. I feel like when I first hear golf collectibles, I think of Christmas gifts from in-laws. But Jarrett, lead the way. Golf collectibles, what's on your mind?
I've gotten some doozies over the time, like gifts for Christmas. I once got like the 365-day pull away calendar. Like, you pull away one sheet each day.
I've had at least 10. Yeah.
I mean, you look up and it's like May 22nd and you're still on February 3rd. You're like, oh man, I knew it wasn't going to last much past my spring break plans. I used to be when I was a young kid, I had posters galore over my walls in my room, right? Like Sports Illustrated covers. Speaking of our guy John Smoltz, who just lost in a playoff to Vinny Del Negro, I used to have like the Atlanta Braves, like 4 aces. Remember the 4 aces? Do you remember those guys? Steve Avery.
Yep.
Not Steve Avery, our dealer at Ho Chunk Casino, Brad. Steve Avery, Greg Maddox, John Smoltz, Tommy Glavine, like Randall Cunningham. Like, I had all of them. And then all of a sudden when I went to college, I graduated to concert posters. Like, that was what I'm a commemorative print guy, sadly. I
need to interrupt quickly, Jarrett. You went on. You were on one there. It was like Steph Curry at the 3-point contest, and he just kept making every shot. The Steve Avery, John Smoltz, incredible rotation of pitchers that the Braves had in the 90s. Maybe around the time that the Twins beat them in the 91 World Series. But John Smoltz lost in playoff today to Vinny Del Negro at the the American Century Championship, the celebrity event. So John Smoltz, who Brandy noted a couple weeks ago, was playing on the Champions Tour. This week actually played quite well. He was right up there with Steph Curry, was actually a top 10 this week at the celebrity event. So that was one thing. Sidebar, Steve Avery, who was the main topic of Making a Murderer, Netflix original from a couple of years ago, and has been, there's been a lot of different things referencing Steve Avery. Jarrett and I were one time playing blackjack at a Ho Chunk casino in the middle of Wisconsin, and we were both certain that Steve Avery was no longer in jail and was actually our dealer at the table. So that's where you're going with that. There's some really good references, Yalen. I just want to make sure we got everyone up to where we're at in the conversation.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
My apologies. Remember, every time you broke, he'd go, and that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Just like Bruce Almighty, right?
Yeah, hysterical. So yes, I've graduated from concert posters to commemorative prints, and so like from a golf collectibles perspective, like I used to go the logo ball route. You guys have done. Who hasn't done the logo ball route? And then you've got like a Nike shoebox full of like 32 balls, and you're like, well, I don't want to play these, but I don't have anywhere to put them. Like, what the hell am I going to do with all these things? So then I went to pencils, and then ball marks, and then poker chips, and I've got, I just like I turn them around all the time, and just so I can see which courses I've played, and But now I think I'm officially a commemorative print guy. Lee Wabranski. You guys ever heard of Lee? He's the dude in the middle of the merch tent that, draws up all of the cool posters. I've got the Ryder Cup one, the 2015 Whistling Straits. And Brad, I actually texted you this. This is one that just came in the mail. The U.S. Open from Erin Hills, the pub sign with the massive, is that a Holstein cow? Is that what that is? That's a Holstein, isn't it?
It looks to be a Holstein.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to get that one done up and we're going to get it thrown on the wall there. But yeah, I love a good commemorative print. Yardage books, I'll collect those just so you can kind of, look back at the holes that you played and where you had to chop out of the rough from. That's always fun. Turns out it wasn't 236 from there, but I had to play over a marsh that was on the opposite fairway. So,
no, that's awesome. I personally am a poker chip guy. I think that poker chips are great. They're usually fairly affordable. You can use them to mark your ball. They also can be used as a sewer cap. You can just keep them on the wall. You can do a lot of things. There's a lot of versatility there. Brandy, what's your go-to collectible? Like if you're going to a place that's kind of a big name, do you go get a hat, you get a polo, you get a poker chip? What do you do?
So I'm going to go two different directions with this. So growing up, my collectibles was Brooke Burke calendars. I mean, come on. My mother actually used to buy me the Brooke Burke calendar, I believe, for Christmas every single year, and that was hanging on my wall probably till 16. When did she not become popular anymore? Was it 96, 97, 98, somewhere in there? Other than Brooke, I've always been a shot glass collector. So everywhere I go, I buy a shot glass from somewhere that's new. And I am still waiting for the day that I can actually showcase all of those because they're all in boxes in a storage unit that I'm not allowed to actually put out. But for me, it's that. I love the idea of just having a solid memorabilia. Like the ball is cool. So if I'm going to go somewhere now that's memorable, I'm going to bring my kids back because I'm in that stage where I have to bring my kids something. It's going to be a hat and a ball, but it's for me. I want a glass of some sort. It might be a shot glass, a low ball glass, but something that just has etched in where I've been, whether that's like Bandon Dunes, whether it's Sand Dunes, Sand Valley, wherever it may be. That's kind of like where I'm at with this.
I just want something unique.
Yeah, something unique. And with that said, Brad, like before I started collecting this stuff, I had never played Rum River Golf and Country Club before I started doing this. So if you have any hookups to get me like a shot glass or a low ball glass from there, it'd be much appreciated.
There are a few shot glasses in the building. There might not be grass in the fairway in some spots. We definitely have shot glasses in the building. That is a non-issue. Yeah, we can work on getting you something sweet. Let's get something real nice, Clark. This to me, it's a funny conversation because I've gotten so many different random things over the years that, people go, well, I know you like golf. So then it's the, like the golf calendar or the golf mug or the different things like, it's just funny because I appreciate that, I like golf. That's cool. But, there's other things I like too. And, I guess it beats socks. Although I think socks are actually a great gift. If you get a nice pair of socks, it's thoughtful. And obviously different socks for different events. But I just think it's kind of funny to go through the golf collectibles because there's so many different directions you can go and so many different things. And I also really like Tervis. I think Tervis does an unbelievable job. The majority of the merchandise tents you go to, you can get a really nice Tervis with the event logo. And in my opinion, that's always a nice one because you don't have to worry about sizing. Same with poker chips, like just sign me up for a few $100 of poker chips and Tervis. We'll call it a day. Like, the last thing you want to do is go get the size of something that's not going to fit someone. And then you're a total schmuck. Right. And I don't want to go through that. So
Brad, that sounds like you and me at the last Gophers Bowl game. Sign me up for a few $100 of poker chips. Let's just go.
Pretty much, yeah. And then just make sure that when we're there, that what was it? The sewer froze
I think
and broke?
I think the sewer froze, and there were no bathrooms for about 2.5 hours, and they threatened to shut down the tables, which they didn't.
Yeah, we were at the MGM Grand in Detroit for the Gopher Bowl game against, I believe, Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech triple option.
Yeah, and we ran into a situation where the city just froze and you couldn't use the bathroom or anything, which after a night full of playing some cards and having a couple of cold ones, it was kind of an awkward situation not to be able to use the bathroom. But speaking of cold ones, a product that wasn't available to us yet at that time is now available, Corona Premier. So taking that great Corona taste and matching it with 90 calories and 2.6 carbs. If it's good enough for Snoop Dogg, it's good enough for me. They've been doing a ton of commercials with it. I know Abe Answer did some stuff with it for a bit here on tour, and really, really good, light, wonderful summer beer to drink. So try it out. Corona Premier, 90 calories, 2.6 carbs. Just a really nice light beer. And again, in that night in Detroit, I might have had a couple too many Corona Premiers, and then there was no bathrooms. So just always be careful to make sure that when you're enjoying your Corona Premier that there are bathrooms available. Kind of a clutch part of all that. So, yeah.
Actually, if I remember correctly, we both made out okay that night.
Yeah, no, that financially was not a bad night. It just, might have had to buy a new pair of pants since there were no no restrooms to use. But otherwise, we had a good investment. It was a nice evening at the MGM Grand in Detroit. So as we move forward, we've got the Open Championship. Jarrett, who is your guy? If you could pick anyone, not someone you've already picked, just anyone on the board. It's a clean slate, fresh season. Who's going to win the Open Championship?
I don't think there's any doubt that John Rahm is the favorite. I mean, this dude is playing lights out golf right now. I mean, I've already spilled the beans a little bit. I'm probably taking Matthew Fitzpatrick in my league. He'll probably be one of my picks. But I think John Rahm is just comfortable, right? I mean, Brandy, you and I were on board with previewing the U.S. Open, and both you and I said we're like, he's going to be angry coming out of COVID protocol. He's going to be pissed. And John was always known as a little bit of a hothead. And, I heard Phil say maybe this is the turning tide, right, where he's a little bit lovable. Maybe having a kid, calmed him a little bit, which, by the way, I think was something really special at the U.S. Open. I don't want to get too completely off track here, but golf collectible gifts. My mom once gave me like a pewter golf frame, right? And I'm like, it's like says golf on it. I'm like, oh yeah, I just don't even know what I'm going to put in this. But she actually hit it out of the park this Father's Day. They got me Best Seat in the House. It's by Jack Nicklaus II. It's lessons that he learned from his father, and I'm halfway through it. But I think, when Phil was sitting there on the driving range with Rahm's wife, and I'm like, Phil's paying it forward. Phil's paying back what Payne did 22 years ago at the 99 U.S. Open, where Payne was almost more excited for Phil that he was going to be a father than him winning the U.S. Open. And I felt like, how cool is this? Like, Phil is officially bridging the gap here, and he's paying it back to John Rahm, and he's overly thrilled for him. I think part of that was because he's a new dad. Anyhow, I think Rahm is the outright winner of this. He's 13-2 odds, and I'm going Matthew Fitzpatrick and John Rahm.
So I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Not to get sentimental on it, but the whole Phil thing back was at 99, I believe it was.
Yes, Pinehurst.
Payne. Yeah, Pinehurst number 2. I actually played nationals that year at Pinehurst. Was amazing, and Payne took the stage when it came to what he did. That was so much bigger than what the U.S. Open could have meant to anyone, and I do think you're right. Like, Phil's paying it back here. Is John Rahm absolutely the favorite? 100% he is. There is no one that's going to go out there and smash it better than he's going to. And do I think he's going to win? Yeah, I kind of do. However, I can't take that same pick again for a major this year. Brad, I don't know where you're going on this one. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go, but I'm probably going to steal it from you. I kind of like Rory in this one.
Oh wow, that is definitely not the road I was going down.
Good.
I think my 2 picks this week, and I might not have used either one yet, but my 2 picks would be Louis Oosthuizen and Ian Poulter.
Ooh, Poulter's a good pick.
He is a good pick. That's a good pick.
Louis really shows up in majors. I also like Tommy Fleetwood Mac. He is playing some good golf as well, and who knows? Maybe Richard Bland is a dark horse in this one. You never know, but it should be a great event. I love the British. I think the most because like I'll be working at late at night, and I go, geez, if I just work for another hour or two, golf's gonna be back on, and I just we'll sleep another day, right? So it's pretty fun stuff.
It's the only event of the year when my alarm goes off at about 5 a.m. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just get up and watch some golf.
Yeah,
Instead
go
of
grab a bowl of cereal.
Snooze.
Get a bowl of cereal, get on that couch, and take it all in. You know who's actually playing the British for the first time is Max Homa. And we've started on our show a week ago, we started a new bit called Things They've Tweeted. And Mr. Max Homa is one of my absolute favorite tweeters to follow. He is fantastic. He now has 284,000 followers, which is quite impressive. I'm just going to go through the last week or two here and just give you a little bit of Max Homa. Max Homa, 14 hours ago, made it to the UK. We're currently on the left side of the road. Very thankful I'm not driving, or else my chances to win the Open Championship would be hindered by injury. On July 10th, Max Homa, don't be named. Your name literally has hope in it. He wrote this to some guy named Scott Hope, who was making fun of someone. After Justin Thomas did not get his 3-wood airborne yesterday, Max Homa, I've watched this a dozen times, and every time I think JT is about to get smoked in the face, which if you do watch it, it sure looks like the club's coming right at him. Headed to the UK for the first time, so I decided to take some classes to learn the language and feel more comfortable while I'm there. Can you believe hello over here means cereal over there? Crazy.
So and I love Max Homa on Twitter, but here's my favorite from July 4th. If a train is traveling at 69 miles an hour and Narnia is 420 miles away, how many holes will this playoff last, considering it's 3 people and not 2?
Oh, that's fantastic. No, Max Homa is wonderful on Twitter. Max Homa is wonderful for golf. Big fan of Max Homa. And do we know, is he coming to the 3M Open?
I have not heard anything official on him. I know Wolfie just committed this week. Watson, I guess, Bubba Watson just withdrew from the British due to some, I don't think it was actually COVID, but just some
close
tracing.
Contact.
Yeah,
he's been vaccinated. Yeah, and the part of that to note, David, is that it's been really, really tricky with all of the policies that they're using for the Open Championship this week. And several guys have been pretty outspoken about they're not a big fan of some of the rules that are in place for them. So Bubba just said, I'm not going. I am assuming he's still going to come to Minneapolis because he's been vaccinated and he should be in an okay spot. But
from what I know, the 3M Open is the first event where there's no testing.
Correct.
Like there are no testing of caddies, players, or anyone on site. No temperature checks. We're just going to assume that everyone's taking their own responsibility over this.
Yeah. And speaking of which, the 3M Open is a sponsor of 10,000 Swings. So remember what it felt like to yell stuff outside with strangers? The 3M Open is open. It's time to be a fan, a golf fan, a Thompson fan, a Wolf fan, a food fan, a get outside fan, a sports fan, an anything fan. It's going to be an awesome, awesome experience here at the end of the month in a couple of weeks. So come out, get loud. Go ahead and wear your golf gear or any fan gear. The 3M Open is open to fans. July 19th through the 25th at the TPC Twin Cities in Blaine. Tickets are available still at 3mopen.com/tickets. Again, we've got Matthew Wolf added this week. Gary Woodland's in the field. We've got DJ, Louis Oosthuizen, Sergio, Ricky, a variety of nice players, and it should be quite fun to watch. So, in Wolf, and Homa were both great college players. And we had a little bit of conversation last week. Jarrett, we needed to break it down with you a little bit more, especially with your tweet about 1099. Talk to us a bit, Jarrett, on your end, what the NIL means for what it means for you for college athletes, college athletics, specifically golfers. What do you think?
First of all, anything that I say is not financial advice, so don't take anything that I'm about to say here and start twisting it in different ways. I think it's so interesting, right? Like some college athletes are finally going to get paid here for their name, their image, their likeness. 1099 income is different, right? You're not a W-2 salaried employee. You're not getting any sort of benefits. You're getting paid for some sort of marketing exposure or to endorse something or whatever it is. And most companies are going to pay you, but so they can report it on their expenses, they're going to 1099 you. So it officially counts as miscellaneous income, which means that these student athletes still have to report it to the government, whether that's federal and or state. This is something that, is obviously too big for me or too big for any sort of single financial advisor to walk into, a Division I athletic program and start doling out advice, right? Open Doors, or there's some companies that are out there that have really, really jumped into this spot and are going in and leveraging their expertise with student athletes and to help educate them really on some of this stuff. I mean, think about it this way. This is a really interesting thought, actually. There are 9 states with no state income tax: Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. So how soon until director of recruiting for your football program starts saying, if you come here and you get a little bit of an endorsement, you're going to pay 4, 5, 6% less than so-and-so at Alabama, or so-and-so at Georgia, or so-and-so at anywhere else. Name your college football program du jour. These student athletes need to be educated on this, and they need to be educated on withholding and making sure that they're escrowing a certain amount and just a savings account so they can clear what they need to clear with the federal or state government at the end of the day. So I think it's really, really interesting, and it feels like the Wild West, because you can actually, there are some states that don't have any sort of laws around it. Minnesota is one of them. So student athletes actually get to choose what state's laws they would like to be governed by, but they're still earning the income in Minnesota, which means they have to pay Minnesota state taxes. So it's goofy, it's funky, it's cumbersome, but I think I think it's well deserved in time.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be extremely interesting. And you were commenting on the sales tax part. When I lived in Oregon, people would actually drive up to Washington to go buy a car and then bring it back to Oregon. I mean, there's always games you can play and different things, but it'll be very interesting to see how much this changes things. And there were actually rumors this week that some of the polos that Brandy wore in college golf that have been, those are out on the market now. He signed a few and they're out there. And so we'll see what happens for Brandy, if he's able to make some sales off of those or see how that impacts him. I wonder, like, as a college golf coach, what does that look like? Are you telling kids like, hey, maybe you do your own golf camp in the summer and, kind of market your name that way? Or I'm interested to see how people are going to do it.
All right. So Brad, let's age ourselves here. I was in college playing golf in like 98 to 2002. Do you remember the Ashworth size of clothes back then?
Yeah, it went mid forearm is where it ended. Yeah.
We all wore like XL and they put us in double XL because, let's face it, we wanted I actually just ran across a picture today of us at Nationals at Pinehurst, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. That's what I wore for that. So
yeah, you're wearing like a deflated hot air balloon, basically.
With cargo shorts.
With cargo shorts. I'm like, you know what? If Ashworth wants to come and buy this back from me, which I don't have anymore, That's about the only market value that any of this has. I have a very distinct opinion on this, and I absolutely, and everyone's free country agree to disagree with me on this. I hate this. I absolutely hate this. We're giving college athletes high-end free education. We're giving them room and board. I get that their likeness has probably been a little bit abused over the years when it comes to covers of EA Sports and stuff like that. But how does this pair up then with the transfer portal? So now all of a sudden, like, I can have 1 to 2 good years, and I'm not playing a lot, and then Alabama comes and says I can outbid someone on not going to say scholarship, but on a sponsorship. Like, where are the lines drawn on this? Maybe I'm naive on this, and there are rules protected on it, but I don't know. But to me, this seems like a hot mess, and I don't like where this is going.
It's interesting that you say that, Brandy, because you're starting this off by basically assuming that everyone already plays by the rules. So I thought that's kind of an interesting direction that you're going with it, because I can't guess that every Division I basketball program is playing things specifically by the rules already, and I would guess probably similar on the football side.
But does this not make it that much worse?
I think it makes it more open market, whereas before it was just certain schools were able to get away with it and certain schools weren't. So, I'm not saying I'm for or against it. It's interesting, right? Before it was just a lot of gray area, and now it's just literally only gray area where, it just changes everything. But I agree with Jarrett. Like, it's going to be really, really tough to compete with the LAs and the New Yorks and the Miamis, and where there's just like the biggest market, right? Like, you've seen it with guys going in the draft before that didn't want to get picked by certain teams because they weren't a big enough market. And now kids are going to probably do the same thing where they're like, I'm going to want to go wherever I can make the most. Now, interesting in college, though, some of the biggest markets are some of the smaller markets, right? Madison, Tuscaloosa, those types of places. I feel like you might get more because they're so college football heavy, right? I don't know. It's going to be it's crazy. I always want to bring it back to golf. Like, what does this actually mean for golf? Because I think it means nothing for golf, to be honest.
So I'm agree with. I think this means nothing for golf. But if I bring it back to Madison, let's say I'm a redshirt freshman at Madison. I'm a running back, and I've got to play behind 2 studs for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden a big name program comes along and says, "Hey." Not that the program can do it itself, but they're like, hey, we can have a starting spot for you. And by the way, here's your endorsement for $2 million for the next 2 years.
Yeah, Master P's son at Tennessee State is kind of ridiculous. I mean, like, okay, it's right. Tennessee State, right? But I mean, when I think of like small college town, and I think of Madison or Tuscaloosa or College Station or somewhere like that, right? Like, I think of the big donor that owns a car dealership or something like that, right? Like, maybe the starting quarterback is the face of the car dealership, but
like the Oklahoma incident.
Well, some of these things are different though, and you just you have to admire some of them too. Look at Haley and Hannah Cavender. Okay, they're the twins that play for Fresno State basketball. They didn't go to Fresno State under the promise of any sort of endorsement. They're just super talented on TikTok with 3 million followers, and now they've got endorsements like coming out of their ears. So I think it actually teaches kids a little bit of business, which I think is awesome. I mean, I took a 1-credit class when I got to the University of Missouri. It was like a library research class that everybody had to take, so you learned the Dewey Decimal System. For the love of God, like, can we teach kids a little bit of business? Can we teach them how to get a home mortgage? Can we teach them how to market themselves? I think it's good. I think it's a good thing, and I hope that kids and athletic departments like it will take it very, very seriously and help educate the kids to make the right decisions.
So Jarrett, you actually bring up I know we do not have time tonight on the show for this, but you bring up a great point. The social media aspect of this. The way they market themselves on social media. I mean, at what point do you get paid from Instagram? Do you get paid from Facebook? Do you get paid from your social media presence? We've even seen on the PGA Tour this year that your social impact has a $40 million impact on a select group of players. So, I mean, has sports, I'm not going to use the word derailed, But has it gone in a completely different direction here in the last 12 months where it's no longer just about how well you perform?
I say yes.
Yeah.
I say it definitely has. It's gone a different direction. It's more about social impact. It's more about followers. It's more about just getting people's attention. I think the answer is yes, and I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out. But there will be more. I just don't know if it affects golf at all.
We knew about Max Homa before he won the Genesis. Okay, that's the point. And so I think you've got some of these young guys, whether it's Jim Herman or JT Poston or some of these guys, Eric Flores or Wade Benfield, some of these guys that are really good on social media. You know what? Like, good for them for figuring it out. I mean, listen, I don't want to get down the road of capitalism. Capitalism will save us all, but I can go down that road if you want me to. Like, I think this is a decent thing. Like, these twins at Fresno State, like they're undersized. They're 5'6". They'll never play in the WNBA, but they just got sponsored by Boost Mobile. Their faces were on a billboard in Times Square. They've got 3.4 million followers.
Yeah, no, it's incredible when you think about it. And you know what? Like you said, capitalism can do some pretty good things, and some people feel the other way. So there's never, I don't know if it'd be interesting like to see how long it takes to figure out like how big the problems can get, because we know there will be some problems for the NCAA, for the universities, etc. But I think there's some good things that are going to come up from it, and who knows? It'll be stay tuned. But again, my question always is, what does this mean for the golfers? And I don't know, how much golfers can do with it, but we'll see where it goes.
I think the PIP program will evolve too over time, right? Like, I just don't think it's going to be one $40 million pot and another $40 million next year with the same old metrics. Like, I think it's something that will always be evolving, because if you're not on social media, like, what type of business are you really running?
You know, we'll also go with this. Is I also think this is and I agree with it. I think this is the beginning to the end of the NCAA. I mean, at what point has the NCAA really stepped in and done anything that's been positive? It seems like they're always investigating, they're always doing things, and now all of a sudden we've got sports organizations, we've got conferences, we've got Congress, we've got other things that are overstepping the NCAA. Maybe this is the way to get them out. Well,
it's just because they had their head in the sand trying to avoid it for a long time, right? And that's about as much as I'll say on it, because that's about as much as I'm educated on it.
No, it's a great point. So as we wrap up this week, what local businesses did we support? We're gonna try to wrap this up. The plane's been circling the runway for about a half hour. We're running out of gas. So I was fortunate enough to get to play at the Minnewaska Golf Club today in Glenwood, Minnesota. I played the Ripstick Pro-Am with Scott McDonald, vice president of the company. And if you've never taken the drive up to Minnewaska Golf Club in Glenwood, give me a call. Go grab your buddies. Take someone and go play it. It's one of the best golf courses in the state for the price. The greens are insane. Today they were rolling about 13 on the stimp. They were crispy. They were nasty. I myself had 13 greens and 41 putts, and you can guess what kind of a score that added up to. Finished the day off with about a 20-footer for eagle that turned into a 4-footer made for double. So the dreaded 5-putt to finish. Minnewaska Golf Club, if you want to treat, and again, they're not normally 13s. They're normally about between a 10 and 11. They're slippery. They're wonderful. It's just a really, really great golf course. A variety of shots. Another Joel Goldstrand classic. Overlooks beautiful Lake Minnewaska the entire round. Very reasonably priced. Wonderful people that run it. And again, Ripstick sponsored it today. So Scott McDonald, Luke Benoit, and friends. They were having people try out Ripsticks on the first tee. I know Scott sold quite a few this morning to both amateurs and professionals as well. And we actually have more and more PGA Tour players putting the Ripstick in the bag every week. So go check it out today, Ripstick. But Minnewaska and Ripstick, my local businesses that I supported this week. Brandy, you got anything? Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Brady.
here's my local business, and I know this is not a small local business. This is big business, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Guys, baseball is back in the store. The Saints are back. They're playing. It's full fans. The Twins are back, full fans. I took my family to a Twins game yesterday. It was a blast. 3M Open coming up, full fans. So we have big sporting events in Minnesota coming back in the next couple of weeks here. So let's get out, support these big sports programs. Let's get back to what Minnesota sports really is, because it's going to be a blast. So obviously 3M Open is a sponsor of the show. Let's get out sell some tickets for them. And Minnesota Twins, I'll tell you what, we had a blast yesterday. I mean, what a fun day to be out at the ballpark. I know it was a slow first half of the game, and then we got a couple of yards towards the end, and it was a good time. So, we're all in this together with big sports.
I've got two. I'm going the route of food, as I always do. Taco and Madre. Taco and Madre. They've got a spot in West St. Paul. So if you're at Somerset, if you're at Southview, just head north, like you're headed over to St. Paul across the High Bridge. Taco and Madre. They also have a food truck that kind of makes its way around the cities, more of like a functional billboard, basically. Killer chips and salsa verde, tomatillos, green chilies, and it's better than chili salsa. Okay, so Taco and Madre, make sure you check it out. And Egan Arms Public House, right down the road from us. If you can't make it to Brits Pub, which is an awesome place to watch a soccer game, we made it over there for the Euro Cup final, Italy, England. What an incredible game, by the way. But I'm a huge Scotch egg guy. I need a Scotch egg. It's a hard-boiled egg wrapped in sausage with like a little bit of it's deep fried too, and it's got like some spicy mustard. Oh man, goodness gracious. But yeah, Egan Arms, Taco and Madre.
Awesome. Good stuff. That's the next time I go through South Dakota, Iowa, Mississippi. Whenever I make my way down to that part of the country, I will swing over to those spots in Egan. That's great, Jarrett. Thank you. And good stuff, Brandy. We got a lot happening in Minnesota sports live outside, so go watch teams. And I think the Lynx are back to full fans again here shortly, or might already be. The Lynx are on a heater right now, so a lot of things to go watch for live sports. So let's go do it, Minnesota. In the last year, we just learned how important it is to support all these businesses, and nice to see people thriving and doing well. So great to be back on the air. We had another fun week, and can't thank you enough, Jarrett, for your time. And we'd also like to thank all of our sponsors, Jarrett Yehlen with Northwestern Mutual, PXG, the new store in Southdale, the 3M Open, the Meadows at Mystic Lake, and Corona Premier. You can always connect with us via email at 10kswings@scorenorth.com. Please subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Score North, and give us a 5-star rating. Next week on the show, episode 21 for the 2021 season with Phil Mackey to break down the Open Championship. Until next week, friends, I'm Brad Cole.
I'm David Branstad.
Cheers.